Hello, one and all, and welcome back to Gallagher Shots. My name's Andy, bringing you another episode of the Away Say, looking ahead to Rafa's Mag's trip down south to Bournemouth on Saturday. You've already had your match preview from Chris, Mark, and Decker, but obviously I'm here to give you the Away Say on things. So joining us this week is Steve from the southend.co.uk. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Good evening.
Thanks for coming on.
No
So
problem.
I'm going to start just by talking about Bournemouth. I like to do a little bit of research on teams before I ring up, just to kind of vaguely sound like I know what I'm on about. And I think it's quite easy to kind of forget about Bournemouth. They've obviously got quite a short history in the Premier League, but when I'm looking at the stats and things, you think, God, they really haven't been around that long, and it's easy to forget what a rise you've had through the divisions. What's it been like to be a Bournemouth fan and kind of experience that almost meteoric rise from the League Two all the way to where you are now?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I'm just thinking, what, even 10 years ago was when it all started. But I'm thinking, before that, we were just so used to going up between League One, League Two, and going to away grounds like Aldershot away, and, with a couple of hundred people and just those sort of things, and even like only having a half full stadium ever since it's been built. It's been a bit crazy. And it's almost like you've forgotten the past almost, because you've been in the Premiership now, for fourth season. So you're just thinking, oh, what did it used to be like? You've almost forgotten all. But I mean, and then you remember what it used to be like. And so, it's been pretty impressive.
Yeah, is it easy to take it for granted where you are now? Because it's one of those teams, the start of every season, you talk about your predictions for who's going to get Europe, who's going to go down. And Bournemouth, like sort of teams like Watford, you kind of just forget about them, but you've been, good mid-table side since you've come up. Is it easy to take it for granted now, do you think?
Yeah, I think it is a little, but I also like, obviously, your team, and so I always believe, I'm always quite positive that and Eddie Howe's a great manager, and we're always doing the right thing. And then he buys these players, and you're thinking, well, he's bought some better players, and we've definitely got a better squad than the team that we had when we first got up into the Premiership. And he keeps buying these people, and I mean, a few of them have been not so good, but nearly everybody he's bought has improved us as a team. And I'm almost thinking, I never get too far ahead, but I always think we're never going to get relegated unless we have an absolutely awful injury list or something, maybe. Then I'm always hopeful that we might get into Europe, but in reality, I think we're always going to probably be mid-table.
Yeah, I think if sort of 10, 15 years ago you'd sat down with your mates and said, I can really see Bournemouth pushing for the top half of the Premier League and maybe getting Europe on a good season, you'd be laughed out the door, wouldn't you? What is it
Yeah.
Eddie Howe's done so well? What is it? What's the main factor behind the success, do you think?
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? I think obviously his man management's worked really, really well, because he took over a team that effectively had the same players from Paul Groves, and did a far better job than he ever did. So I guess that must be part of it. He's getting the best out of everybody. But and he's slowly making additions. And I think when he buys a new person or a new player, he's getting people that fit in with with the ethos of the team, and also work well with the people who are already here. So it's a slow build rather than just bringing in loads of players and hopefully they'll all gel together and everything will be good and they'll all get on. So I think he brings people in slowly. This is what I think anyway. I think he brings them slowly, and then they build, and then they, and that's how it works, season by season.
Yeah, it's building that core of players, isn't it? We had a Huddersfield on a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying exactly the same thing to him about David Wagner and what he did down there as well. And I think that's a lot of the frustration from our fans' point of view, is we know Rafa will, given the time and the resources, be able to do that as well. He's already brought in players with that similar ethos of, you run yourself into the ground for the team. You don't have to be the best footballer in the world, but if you graft, you'll win. Matt Ritchie's obviously the kind of common denominator between the two of us, and I think he probably epitomises the view of Eddie Howe and Rafa, in that you don't have to be a world beater. As long as you graft and you put your heart on your sleeve, you'll succeed. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming he was exactly the same when he was at Bournemouth.
Yeah,
Matt
almost
Ritchie.
exactly the same as he is now. Yeah, good player.
Yeah, we all love him. I don't think you'll find a single Newcastle fan that dislikes the bloke. Moving on to the game itself, how do you think Eddie Howe will set his team out against us on Saturday?
It's difficult. I think, the last game against Huddersfield will probably be a good indicator of probably how he's going to play at home as well, because obviously Callum Wilson's fit, and that was his first game back against Huddersfield. So if he's fit, I'd imagine he'll go pretty much for sort of a 4-4-2 or however you want to look at it. Yeah, but it'll probably be probably at home. So it'll probably be King and Wilson up front with like Fraser and Brooks left and right. Not sure.
I like the look of that Brooks.
Yes,
Looks like a very good player. He's only really come about this season, hasn't he?
yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I'd never
Out of
even heard of it.
nowhere.
Well, I'd
Yeah.
seen him play for England, whatever it was, under whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't really know who he was until then we were interested in him, and then I didn't even know if he was that good then. But he's obviously come in and just jumped in and taken to it like a duck to water, and he's been brilliant.
Yeah, we had that exact scenario with Sean Longstaff where we basically had no midfielders left, so we said, well, we'll stick this young lad in who we think he's meant to be all right, but we had no idea, and then he's come in and been amazing, and then he's got himself injured for the rest of the season, unfortunately. But yeah, I think you guys have... I had a look at your form quickly. As I say, I like to vaguely know what I'm talking about, and it seems like you've had a bit of a ropey run of results.
Yeah.
What would you say has been the main reason behind that, and how do you think you'll try and correct it on Saturday?
Well, the last 5 games have been we have played Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City. So these are sort of games that you
gives you an excuse.
Well, these games you don't expect to get anything from, and we've like obviously Callum Wilson was injured, David Brooks was injured, Steve Cook got injured, so we had, probably getting back to the bare bones of the team, and they're struggling a little, especially against the really good teams. So I didn't expect too much from that. We played all right against Wolves, and obviously we did all right. Callum Wilson came back, made a big difference with him and Brooks in the team. And Chris Mepham, who's obviously stepped in for Steve Cook, has been brilliant alongside Ake. So I think it's like a bit, gives a bit of a false picture of on our current form. But I think, so I think we'll start clicking back into gear a bit again.
Yeah, I think. Well, from on the flip side of that, Newcastle, we've our form's not been that amazing away from home, but we've obviously on this amazing run at home where we've won 5 on the bounce, which I think is the best we've ever done since Bobby Robson was manager. But away from home, I think we're still a bit of an unpredictable beast. In terms of our strength, we're going to have Fabian Schär missing because of his 10th booking of the season, and think Longstaff, and that's probably about it in terms of injuries. What do you think Newcastle will bring to this game? I don't know if you've seen much of us this season, but from what you have seen, where do you think we can hurt Bournemouth?
I would take, is it Rondon?
Yes.
He's like, when we played you at your place, he outmuscled us quite easily, and hopefully we won't see that quite. It won't be quite so easy for him this time. But I think, he's a big threat. I can't remember what's the name of the new bloke.
Almiron.
Yeah, he looked very good when I've seen him on TV, and I really like Lascelles as a defender. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be pretty unevenly matched.
If you had no knowledge of sort of a Newcastle team at all, if you're just looking at from Bournemouth's weaknesses, where would you, if you had to handpick a team to beat Bournemouth, what would you be targeting in your team, do you think?
Well, you'd be targeting our team. Well, it's always the defence, isn't it? So
yeah.
I know, but I have to say, they keep saying that we do ship a lot of goals, but I think what it generally works out is we ship a lot of goals against the really good teams. Well, sorry, the top 6 teams, because we probably try to match them a little bit too much, and they're just better than us. They got better players, but against teams outside that, I think we're better suited, obviously, to playing them. But yeah, and I mean, and I think our letting in goals is still an issue. But because I can't remember. I know we kept a clean sheet against Huddersfield, but I don't think we've kept a clean sheet.
That's not that difficult, I don't think.
No, exactly. So it's not really much of a match, is it?
No. No, I think. We'll see. Yeah, I think you guys can give anyone a good game. And I did go on your Twitter account before I rang you, and I saw the poll you'd put on where you're asking your lot for predictions, and I think I actually voted for Newcastle, and I think I must have been literally the only person that predicted a Newcastle win on it. So are you guys quite confident? Have you got a prediction for the match?
A prediction for the match? I think, I think depends, doesn't it? I'm going to go for a win just because we've got Callum Wilson and David Brooks back, and Lerma as well, who's back from suspension, and Nathan Klein will be playing Mepham, and they're doing all right, the defence. I know Adam Smith got injured, but we've still got someone to play. So I'm going to go for a win because we're at home.
Yeah, I know a lot of our lads on the podcast. I think there's a couple of draws and a close Newcastle win. My predictions have been horrible since I've started doing this. So I'd like to say I'll just go for a Bournemouth 3-0 win, and then hopefully I'll be wrong. But I think, score draw, a 1-1 possibly. But, against Everton, I said it would be a boring game, and look how that turned out. So who knows?
Yeah, there you go.
But I think a score. I can't see us sneaking the win. I think we'll get a draw out of it. But that's just my shout anyway. So other than that, I've got one last silly question. Mark, who's one of our lot who helps on the podcast, he's brought it upon himself that the name of your club and town is pronounced Bournemouth. Can you just clarify for the ladies and gents at home how you say it?
I don't know. I quite like that pronunciation. It's Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. Right.
Yeah.
There we go. Case closed. That'll do me. Right. So you've gone for a Bournemouth win. I've gone for a score draw. So all the best of luck for Saturday, and thank you once again for coming on.
Yeah. Good luck as well.
Cheers, Steve. Thanks.
Thanks anyway. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah.